In this tutorial, we'll be running through how we designed and created our pods for Remembrance in 3ds Max. We opted for a circular shaped dome due to the fact that circles are visually appealing and calming to the human eye. The dome's shape is also fairly small, to create an intimate and safe atmosphere. As mentioned, this video will use a plugin called Hyperclone, which you can download from ScriptSpot. First, create a box and under the parameters, make it 300 cm in length and width and 5 cm in height. Then, in the coordinates, make sure the X, Y, and Z axis is all set to 0. Next, under standard primitives, select Geosphere. Make the radius of this 150 cm. Again, center this so that the X and Y coordinates are 0, but for the Z axis, we want it to be set to 100 cm. Next, we want to duplicate the sphere, creating a layer called glazing. Create more clones called frame, driver 1, and driver 2. We do the same for the box, which is our platform. Create a duplicate of that and call it shelf, and raise it 25 cm on the Z axis. Next, selecting the shelf layer, under Modify, select Hyperclone. As we want 5 clones of this shelf at 25 cm apart, under Parameters, set the clones 1D to 5, and offset 1D on the Z axis by -25. Once you are done, select your Hyperclone shelf, and under Compound Primitives, select Boolean. Click Add Operands and select driver 1. Then scrolling further down, under Operand Parameters, select Intersect.
Now selecting driver 2 under Modify, we want to shrink the radius down to 130 cm. Similar to before, select the shelf layer, make it a Boolean, and make driver 2 an operand, but this time select Subtract. Under Standard Primitives, draw another box and make its width 100 cm and its height 180. Adjust it to be in the center. Selecting your shelf layer, make it a Boolean, and make the box the operand. Do this for the glazing and frames layer as well. For the glazing layer, we want to subtract the box. Next, duplicate the geosphere layer and call it glazing subtract. Make the radius of this 145 cm. Now select your glazing layer and under Boolean and Modify, make the glazing subtract an operand and subtract it. Then click M to open the material editor as we want to create a glass material. Click on our previous video to see how to create materials. Drag this onto our glazing layer and then turn it off. Clicking the frame layer, we want to subtract the box operand, and then under Modify, click Lattice and select Struts only from edges. Under Modify again, click Shell and change the outer amount to 1 cm.
Duplicate the platform layer and call it Platform Subtract. Change the height to -50. Similar to before, make this an operand and subtract it from your glazing and frame layer. We can also add some vegetation onto the frame by using Forest Pro. Select the frame layer, and under Create, click I2 Software, and select the type of plant from the library.
We can change the density and amount of greenery under Distribution in Modify. Click on our Forest Pro video for a full tutorial. Now let's add an V-Ray sun and render it. And there we have our pod designed. As we have created this in a separate file, we can import this into our OSM model as a scene and adjust its size and amount accordingly to our